Look, we got away with it. I mean, there's no question about it. We've definitely got away with it. The Cucurella, you know, the pulling of the hair. I mean, that's a foul. How's the ref not seen that? And you know, he could have got sent off. And then we score from the corner, which is, you know, it's just one of them. You'd say you've got away with that one.
Yeah. Bentancur, do you think that was a foul on Havertz? How do you feel about that? Because also there were two things in that led up to that goal. Ali picked this out earlier on as well. Richarlison in an offside position. You can be honest. Jake,
I can tell your reaction. You're the same as me, right? I'm guessing, and I shouldn't be speaking for you, but when you asked that question about that free kick, I went the same way. I went, it probably is a free kick. I thought, but I could understand it not been given. Do you know what I mean? I get it.
Well, when you watch it back from different angles, one angle it really looks like he's got something on the ball, and you'd say, well, it's not a foul because he's got something on it. And then the other angles you look and you go, nah, he hasn't got the ball. So it's you know, it's 50-50, and that's where the referee's got to make a decision, and they're going mad about it. But there is an argument that it wasn't a foul. It's one of them, mate. I think we've definitely got away with a couple of decisions in that game. We were poor. Chelsea were the better team. Well, probably should have won the game.
Here's my next one to you. I'm not giving Højbjerg's goal because
get out of here.
I'm disallowing it for offside.
No, you're not. You're not. Come on, Ali. It's miles out.
I'll tell you why. I think we're in total agreement. He's in an offside position, right?
Yeah, of course he is.
Right. Well, I know he probably isn't directly blocking the ball. I get that as well. But he's influencing the goalkeeper's movement. He's got to be, because the ball's so close to him, the goalkeeper has to think, he can get a touch on this. I can't dive until it's by him.
20 yards out, Ali.
Yeah, but he's not.
He's outside the box.
Richarlison's not. That's my point.
Okay, but the keeper can see. He can see the line of sight. He can see Højbjerg taking that shot.
Yes, I agree.
So, and he hasn't affected the game enough where he can't get. If he's standing right in front of him 4 or 5 yards away, that is completely going to be, you know, affecting your eyesight and your eye line. Richarlison's on by the penalty spot,
but the ball goes by him close enough to think he could change the direction of the ball.
Give him some credit. It's a great goal.
Oh, it's a great goal.
I mean, that is an unbelievable goal.
I've got to be honest with you, I can't believe I'm one that's wanting a goal disallowed, to be honest with you. But I just think,
come on, stop disallowing things like that
against your team Chelsea. So why would you do that?
Yeah, come on, you can't be disallowed goals.
I think he's got a real argument, by the way. I think Richarlison is certainly in the line of the shot on Mendy. I mean, and he's offside, and the pulling of the hair was. I mean, if you look at it again, I mean, the referee got a total sight of it. There's no one come between him and the incident, so he can see everything that's taken place. His focus should only be on that, because this is long before the ball gets to the group of players on the near post when they all jump, and that's you're thinking of maybe a foul in there. But the pulling of the hair happened before that ball got to the near post, and his focus would have been normally on that. So and he could only have been 5 or 6 yards away. So
But he might think it, Graeme, should he say it? Because now this morning we understand the FA are investigating Tuchel's comments.
Well,
so he lands in hot water, and he knows he'll land in hot water, so why say it?
I think sometimes managers do that, knowing they risk getting a fine, because they feel that strongly about it, or they're playing the long game by planting a seed for the next time they have that referee.
So they're happy to take the hit, the fine, because they've got out what they wanted to get out in the public domain.
And they planted a seed.
They're playing to the gallery. I mean, I don't happen to concur with Graham's view about the first goal, because if you look at the angles behind it, and I watched it at detail, it shows that Mendy can clearly see the ball when it's being struck. And then you look at the fact that when it goes in, the first thing the goalkeeper doesn't do is complain about the nature of the decision as a result of him being blocked by a player standing in his line. The Cucurella thing, these are rules. This is the law is an ass. This isn't the rules that are put in place. These are the rules that talk about violent conduct. And the fact that hair pulling isn't a violent conduct, ridiculous as it may be, that is the law is an ass. Now, Tuchel, fines for managers, when you're on £10 or £15 million a year, you go and get a £50,000 fine, it falls out of your pocket on the way to the tribunal. It's not a big deal. And you've played to the gallery, you've made your point, you've turned around and not so much virtue signal, but you've certainly signalled to the audience that you're not happy with it. I think referees make bad decisions. If there's an argument that's being put forward that they've got some sort of conspiracy theory, like at third gunman on the grassy knoll, and everyone's against Chelsea, I think that's nonsense. You get good referees and bad referees. Every time we had David Ellery or Uriah Rennie, I used to cry because they were so poor or so busy giving players lectures. but necessarily being biased. I don't know what Graham thinks, but I don't think I think they made decisions.
No, they get
Referees
it
are
wrong.
not biased, Graham.
They get it wrong sometimes. I've never experienced someone that I believe was carrying a stroke vendetta on to the next game.
Yeah.
Well, going back to the goal, Simon, don't you think? Well, Tuchel was saying that Richarlison was offside, which he was, and I think Mendy goes down very slow to the ball, which would suggest he's not seen it early. And I think it depends what coloured shirt you had on yesterday. A blue one, you think it was,
right.
It was offside and you couldn't see it. If you're a Spurs man, you think it should stand.
Well, Tuchel's saying in no uncertain terms, we're not having this particular referee. We're just not having Anthony Taylor.
Decision as to whether Richarlison is going to get a touch, because of course, from where Mendy's standing, he can't make that assumption or that judgment that he's offside. So he's already in two minds once that ball is struck. So he's affecting the goalkeeper. Whether it's directly in blocking his field of vision, he's affecting the decision-making and how Mendy moves for the ball. So it has to get called back. And the silly thing, I don't know if it's a silly thing, but I agree with Craig in that I don't think you call the play all the way back for the initial foul on Havertz. But it gives you an out. The Richarlison offside gives you an excuse. It gives you another reason just to disallow the goal, calm tempers, and somehow you get it right. And both times between Anthony Taylor and the VAR, they chose not to. So they are deserving of all the criticism that they're now getting.
But you can't call that back for you can't call that back for the challenge on Bentancur once Chelsea win the ball back. But once Chelsea win the ball back, that's null and void.
I agree. I'm fine with that. I have no problem with that.
It's the Cucurella one. I as I said to you, I wasn't 100% because I don't think that's. Well, to my knowledge, it's not in the laws.
Mark Clattenburg says that it's not a red card because both players are pulling at each other.
Well, I did think there was a bit. There was some 6 and 2-3s involved. However, is pulling somebody's hair violent conduct? I don't know. They've deemed it. VAR has deemed it not to be.
Here's my interpretation of that. Had that been a defender on a striker, that would have been a penalty, no question. And we've seen that time and time again over the last 3 or 4 years. We've applauded that time and time again over the last 3 or 4 years, where a defender is getting overly physical with a striker in the box, whether they're going to get on the end of the ball or not. And so they've drawn their line in the sand as far as that goes. So to see Cucurella's hair being pulled in the way that it is, and it just be ignored, and we start talking about violent conduct, I think it's disingenuous. It's a foul.
But I need to look at it again closely. But maybe their assertion on it, an analysis of it, is the initial infringement was Cucurella with the pulling on Romero.